Hey all you nerds, Gabe aka Froopy Art here, and welcome back to our Gravity Falls Encrypted inspired Pokemon region. Heads up, you are going to want to stick around to the end as I am looking for more Beast Merge ideas for our legendary quartet. But first, in the previous episode, you're almost finished traveling this Ultra Beast infested apocalypse, helping people. You defeated both a shapeshifter impersonating the professor and a legendary Ultra Beast to rescue Atlantica, Breeze, and Skylar. You pull out your map for the location of your Grunkle, the final person who needs your help. To the west, at the center of the frozen mountain, is a dragon-type icon. You leap off of the high bridge, and using your Rotom shift, you glide as far as you are able. As you are approaching the mountain, you see that a number of glowing cracks have formed in it. And since you don't see evidence of the professor anywhere on the mountain itself, you figure he must be inside. You ascend the frozen mountain until you find a newly opened cave entrance, and as soon as you step inside, you are blasted with waves of intense heat. Panicked Pokemon have taken shelter in these superheated caves and fissures. Nombomble, Royletic, and even a Frozo lash out at you as you pass by. Traveling deeper inside, glowing magma flows around you, and at the heart of the mountain, you find a vast chamber. You see the professor standing on an island in the middle of a lake of magma, surrounded by entranced dragon-type Pokemon.
Kid, I don't know what you're doing here, but if you know what's good for you, you'll beat it. I'm building a dragon-type army to lay waste to this awful town before we travel the world causing destruction. I finally understand that this world deserves to be as chaotic and broken as the dimension my brother was trapped in.
You know he doesn't mean what he's saying, and can't wait to defeat him and get the mind controller collar off of his neck. The professor readies 2 Pokeballs, and you throw out 2 of your team to start the double battle. First up is the starter that Professor Pines grabbed after you and Maple picked yours, and unfortunately it has the type advantage over your starter. Next to it is the evolution to the sneaky Detroke. Time to take the classic cryptid, the hide behind, and modernize it. Yep, let's bring in some good old Slenderman. He's technically canon to Gravity Falls as he shows up in a comic or something, I believe. I initially thought about playing up the tree-ness of the first stage and introduce the grass type, but after playing with the twisting Slenderman tendrils, I ended up landing on something a bit stranger. I mean, I'm all for Pokemon that push how different types can be represented, so we'll be introducing the dragon type here. Splitting the tentacles at the top into these kind of dragon heads is justification enough, I think. Plus, it's just cool. Other than that, it was just getting the Slenderman look down. I'm particularly happy with how the face turned out. Okay, let's meet Thindurant, the unseen Pokemon. This exceedingly rare dark type was thought to be an urban legend until only recently. Thindurant are unmatched in their ability to hide in any environment. Those unfortunate enough to see one are relentlessly stalked by it and plagued by powerful nightmares and visions, often leading to the viewer leaving the Hoax region entirely. Few trainers can withstand its dark aura. The ability remains out of sight, so when behind a substitute, this Pokemon regains 1/16 of its HP every turn, with the hidden ability being Terrorize. It sets up substitute right away, and then its balanced stats let it alternate between using debilitating status moves and powerful attacks. You lose a couple team members yourself, but you manage to take out both of these Pokemon. Next up, Professor Pine sends out a Kankaga and the evolution to Mimighoul. Now, when I initially laid out my plans for the decks, I wasn't planning on there being an evolution here at all. This is the only Pokemon that I added after creating my, again, initial decks before episode 1 even came out. But after Mimighoul became a convergent form, we just had to sneak in another Pokemon. But of course, it can't just look like Goldengo, can't be, just like a dude. Continuing with the Dungeons and Dragons motif for this line, our treasure chest is now being hoarded by a dragon who is itself a pile of treasure. This just made so much sense. You collect 100 of these strange coins, and it turns into the treasure that it is protecting. Silly, fun, and the most justified steel and dragon type that there could possibly be. Rendering the gold is of course very fun. It definitely helps to use a reference to see exactly how Goldengo handles its highlights and shadows. There's your lesson for today. Always use references. Okay, let's meet Goldrago, the treasure Pokemon. Once a Mimighoul has amassed enough strange coins from across the Hoenn region, it is able to evolve into this massive gold dragon. Goldrago is incredibly protective of its wealth and will lash out at anyone who gets too close. Trainers must work hard to earn this Pokemon's trust. Goldrago's most prized possession is held within its chest, which varies by individual. It could be anything from a glittering gem to a well-worn chew toy. The ability is Gimme Gimme, so when this Pokemon isn't holding an item and uses a move which makes contact, the target will have the held item stolen. And then the hidden ability is Pickup. It immediately steals a held item from your team, which is rather rude, but you'd expect nothing less from one of your Grunkle's favorite Pokemon. And any fairy or ice types you had hoped to use against the Professor's dragon types are absolutely destroyed by the poison or steel type attacks that these two Pokemon send your way. Your team is in rough shape by the time you finally feint these two. Professor Pine sends out his final two Pokemon, an unexpected Gugantum, along with the evolution to the pseudo-legendary Papaddle. I've been waiting for this one for a long time too, but we couldn't get the final pseudo stages until the very end. Okay, so continuing with the Aklut inspiration, our first stage was more Wolf Pup. Our second stage was more Orca, so our final stage we're going to strike the perfect balance between the two. There's always the risk that combining such different animals will end up with a lumpy and unnatural looking creature, but I really wanted this to be a fast and agile looking Pokemon, so I had to find the best approach to incorporate things in a sleek way. Funny enough, it was figuring out the mouth and jaw that really solidified things, and everything else just kind of flowed out of that. I'm probably going to get a little hate for adding the dragon type to this, but hey, there's a second pseudo-legendary that isn't dragon type, and again, I like dragon types that don't look exactly like the standard dragon, so I think it's fine. Okay, let's meet Aquilobo, the sea wolf Pokemon. This ferocious dragon is perfectly adapted for frigid waters and rugged icy terrain. Its frozen fangs let it instantly freeze its prey. It is said that once an Aquilobo begins its hunt, there is no stopping it until it is fed. For this reason, trainers often bring lots of excess treats to keep Aquilobo focused. The ability is something new called Ice Flow. So, using ice or water type attacks changes the user's secondary type to match, and the user cannot be burned, with the hidden ability being Ice Body. There's just no stopping its powerful attacks. That ability essentially gives it 3 stab types and an immunity to burn too. Gugantum keeps using Follow Me, meaning you have to get through its bulk before you can even touch Aquilobo. By the time you knock out the electric and poison type, you are down to your final Pokemon. And unfortunately, the professor grabs a glowing stone from his pocket and merges with his Aquilobo. So what could we turn our version of Grunkle Stan into? Well, how about we reference the fact that he has on multiple occasions turned into a wild brawler, fighting a pterodactyl or even zombies with his bare fists. Well, technically he had brass knuckles, which is what we're playing up here. Great big old fists with icy spiked brass knuckles. The biggest question was whether or not this would be a fighting type or a dark type. I mean, Brass Knuckles is very punchy, and Punchy is very fighting type, but in the end, Grunkle Stan he just doesn't fight fair, right? He just has to be a dark type. Like, he's an unstable and crazed attacker, so Dark and Dragon, they both feel like the best match. Okay, let's check out Beast Merge Aqualobo. The Enraged Brawler. This form is overtaken with an animalistic rage. Dark-type energy flows through their massive spiked fists, dealing devastating blows, while unstable Dragon-type energy courses through the trainer's muscles, allowing them to sprint at lightning speeds and get behind their opponent's defenses. After unfusing, the trainer is plagued with visions of their own twisted potential. And then the ability gets to be Unseen Fist, so contact moves can strike through, protect, and detect. He is ridiculously powerful. I mean, that attack stat is just insane. And you have to beast merge yourself to pull through and land a final blow. The professor separates from his Pokemon and collapses to the ground. You dash over and take the collar marked with a dragon-type symbol off of his neck.
Oh, geez. That was rough. I'm sorry about that, kid. I owe you big time for getting me out of that one. Now, how about you and me get our butts back to town? Sounds like you've done an amazing job rescuing everybody during this weird apocalyptic event. Maybe we can put our heads together and stop the destruction my brother is causing.
You and the professor leave the magma caves behind and start your trek back to Lazy Susie's diner. But before we go, I need more Beast Merge ideas from you. We have one final bonus episode at the battle facility, and here's the thing. I am only looking for ideas for our 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So that means the Water and Fighting type Kinvidax, the Grass and Dark type Festalorn, the Fire and Ghost type Chartrim, and the Flying and Normal type Slatrist. Remember, for Beast Merge forms, the typing needs to change somehow, and they need a weird new ability. But beyond that, the sky's the limit for the design itself. I look forward to hearing your weird, wacky ideas down in the comments. Okay, now be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying this series. There's a new puzzle added to the Discord server, so check that out. We're getting into some really tough, fun stuff. Details for that are down in the description. A big old thank you to the Patreon supporters. You are all just the best. But I gotta say that our now 4 up in the champion tier, Alphabloom, hey Alphabloom, Angel, Cyberlord, and Mason are all the best of the best. These 4 are just so great. Okay, I will catch you in the next one. Later, nerds.